Welcome back to Silent Pew. We were just in the studio taking a look at the best 300 Blackout, and now I'm at the range to show you that it doesn't just look good, but it also shoots good. So let's get to it. Quick overview in case you haven't seen the studio review, which I'll link down in the description. But we have our Silencer Co. Omega 300 up front. Under that, we've got our Landtac Dragon ASR muzzle brake. And then we have our Surefire Scout Mini with the tape switch on top. We've got a couple Strike Industry covers there with the Strike Industries bang band just to hold on to that wire there. In the front and rear, we do have our mag pull offset iron sights there. Working our way back here, we've got our Unity Tactical Riser with the EOTech 300 Blackout specific on top, which you can see has those holdovers for subs and supersonics just to make that super straightforward. Then we've got our BCM foregrip on front just to help with stability, as well as our stock out back, which is going to be a Maximum Defense Gen 7 CQB 4-position stock. Again, if you haven't seen the review, link is in the description. All right, to kick us off, we're going to take a couple shots downrange without the suppressor. So I'm going to give you guys my thoughts on this Landtac ASR muzzle brake. And of course, the other thing is I want to take a look at cycling. So right now we're loaded up with some 300 Blackout subs, and these are Winchester Black Box open tip. Some users have stated that they've had cycling issues. I do have the gray spring in here. This does come with a gray spring and a red spring. So we're just going to see if we have any issues cycling with subs, no suppressor, and then we'll get to it. All right, initial thoughts on the brake. It's definitely doing its job. We can see that the gases are flowing out to the left and right, and it's giving me a good recoil impulse, so I'm definitely liking that. We didn't see any cycling issues. We'll continue to shoot some more to see if we see some cycling issues, because obviously we can't really test just on 5-6 rounds there. So I'm gonna shoot some more without the suppressor. Beyond that, this is gonna be a bad day for anybody shooting with you on the left and right, but we don't plan to shoot without a suppressor, so not too worried about that. All right, there's a group right there from 20 yards standing and no support. We're gonna back up to 50, and I'm gonna show you what this can do as far as groups can go after we settle in with the bench. I didn't bring out my rest bag today, so we're gonna go ahead and use my range bag, and we are set up at about 50 yards. Let's see what we can do here. I've got a fresh target out there with a red square around the A zone. Here we go. All right, a couple things while we go take a look at this group. First and foremost, shooting under that thing, muzzle brake, don't do it. We're gonna throw that suppressor on now. Second off, obviously our 20-yard grouping is gonna be better, but even sitting down at 50, this is what we're working with on a fresh target. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna stand up at about 25 and give you guys another group here just to see how that looks. All right, standing at about 25. I don't think I have a hallway in my house that's gonna be any longer than this, so this is gonna be a realistic idea of a self-defense. So we are going to see what we can do here. All right, there we are from 25. Not as tight as we were from just 5 yards closer at 20 on the last target. I'm gonna give it one more go and see how we are. All right, I took my time a little bit more on that one. And there we go. That's the group. One problem I'm seeing here, looks like we keyholed there a little bit. That's the first one. We're about 50 rounds in right now total. So we're gonna keep an eye on that. Better grouping there from 25, but that is possibly a problem. All right, let's go ahead and talk a little bit more about the feel here. But before we do that, make sure you guys like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. And if you're enjoying the content, share this with a friend or two that you think would also enjoy. Moving back to this Maximum Defense buttstock, this thing is pretty good. I would say I like the adjustability of it. As you can see here, there's no padding on the back, so it's not as comfortable. I do feel that in the shoulder when I'm shooting. So I would like something back there. However, you know, this is a tool, I'm not complaining. In terms of the Geisley trigger, again, we've got that SSAX, and this thing feels just as good as the review in the studio. Let me go ahead and get this off real quick. Now up front, this is real short. So as you can see up here with that foregrip, our finger is right on that edge. So that is something that you want to be mindful of. Make sure that you're being careful that you don't put your finger too far forward, because that suppressor will burn you. All right, we took our ears out. Let's go ahead and take a couple shots with the suppressor and see how it sounds. Yeah, real good there. All right, as expected, we got a 300 Blackout with a suppressor on it. We've been shooting a ton of 5.56 through suppressors, so this is a night and day difference. I'm gonna go ahead and go check out these targets, make sure we're not having any other issues with any keyholes, see if that was a one-off situation or not, just so I can keep you guys updated. All right, you know the drill. We're gonna go ahead and do a couple build drills here and see how this trigger feels, see how the whole setup feels at fast pace. .220 best split was a 0.17. .185 best split, 0.16 there. All right, one more. Let's try to beat 185. Perfect, 168 with a 0.16. All right, we're going 2 center mass, 1 to the top. Five, 3, 3. 4, 7, 2. Let's go one more. In a 3, 4, 9. All right, we just shot the best 300 Blackout. Overall thoughts on this thing, just to make sure I'm keeping it straightforward with you, is this thing's absolutely amazing. The suppressor and 300 Blackout pair well together, and there's a reason why it's so special. The trigger feels absolutely amazing. EOTech, tried and true, can't expect anything different from that. The only things I would like to see different on this is, one, the buttstock has no padding, so it could be a little bit more comfortable, but really not a big deal at all. And two, with the foregrip, it does put my fingers a little bit closer to the end of that rail. This is a short overall package, but besides that, this thing is absolutely, as described, amazing. Before you guys go, make sure you guys leave a comment down below if you're shooting 300 Blackout, and specifically if you tried the Daniel Defense PDW. Besides that, make sure you guys like, subscribe, share this video with a friend or two, and of course, don't forget to turn on those notifications so you can see future videos. As always, stay safe and shoot straight.